Hey YouTube, Casual Brews here. Um, Here with my Week 4 NFL recap. Kind of just have my picks in front of me here. I'm just going to kind of go through all the games briefly, touch a little bit on each one. Yeah, so I did my picks before this week, riding on a high note because I was 21-14 Week 3, feeling good, feeling great, and I got killed this week. Um, for any of you who watched my picks, um, probably already know, but I didn't do too bad against the spread. I went 10-10 against the spread. Not bad. You can take that. Minimal losses there. Um, Maybe I actually even profited a little bit because I had two money line wins. I had two money line wins, two money line losses. So really, it was basically exactly even against the spread. But I got killed, absolutely killed on the over unders. I was 4-11 and one tie. That being the Thursday night game, Cincinnati. So that's an overall 14-21-1 record, basically an exact opposite of last week. So what can you do? Something's got to give. That's why they make the odds, is so it can be basically 50-50, right? And then obviously with the payouts, the gambling casinos, whatever, make money in the end. So yeah, 50-50 the last 2 weeks combined. What can you do? So yeah, start with Cincinnati, Jacksonville. Not really much to say there. I thought Cincinnati would win pretty handily. It was a close game. Jacksonville got off to that early 14-0 lead, I think it was, and then the Bengals came back, looked good in the second half. Jaguars are a mess. Urban Meyer, what a disaster is going on there with his little groping of that young girl at the bar. Yeah, so they look like garbage. At least they kind of made that game close. Good for them, whatever. They'll get killed by the Titans because of all the distractions going on. Titans, it brings me to the next game, Titans-Jets. Jets with the upset. They were 7-point underdogs. They won outright on an overtime field goal. When I made that pick, I didn't realize Julio Jones and A.J. Brown were both out. I knew Brown would probably be out, but I thought Jones was going to be playing for some reason. I don't know. I didn't do enough research there, or else maybe I would have thought the Jets could keep it close. But even still, kind of surprised with that one. Yeah, good win for the Jets. Obviously well coached. Not the typical Jets dumpster fire. They were under Adam Gase, so you kind of have to figure they would. In hindsight, I should have figured they would come out and battle against a Titans team that may not be, obviously with injuries, but may not be as good as last year's Titans team. Kansas City, Philly. Kansas City won pretty handily, like I thought they would. Covered those 7 points. Ended up being a higher scoring game. Again, I don't know why. In hindsight, I picked the under here. I think I just picked it because I didn't think Philly could score much. But Chiefs' defense is so bad, and they kind of, obviously, Chiefs got up big, and Philly kind of scored a little bit in garbage time. Yeah, Chiefs are still kind of what they are. Good offensive team, terrible defense. I don't know what they can do in the playoffs with that, and let alone their division. They're last, or like tied for last with 2-2. With what is it now? No, they're 2-2. I think they're the only 2-2 team in that division right now. Everyone else is 3-1. I want to say, or yeah, 3-1. I think. Oakland, Chargers, Denver. Yeah, Kansas City's in last in that division right now. Now, it won't stay that way. I think they'll manage to kind of be neck and neck with maybe the Chargers and the Raiders. I don't know, in that division. But yeah, they got to figure out that defense, man. It's bad. I mean, the game obviously wasn't as close as the score indicated, so, but the Eagles are bad. So it'll be interesting to see next week against Buffalo when they play. That Sunday nighter is going to be a great game. Real test for the Chiefs. Buffalo can score. You know, Buffalo's defense pitched a shutout against obviously a terrible Houston quarterback and offense in general. So we'll see how that goes. Next, Dallas won cover against Carolina. Dallas look legit, man. They look really good. They've given the Chargers their only loss. The only team to really be able to slow down the Chargers offense. So defensively, you like what you see from Dallas. Trayvon Diggs in his second year is already looking like arguably the best corner in the NFL right now. Still early. Dallas could find some way to implode like they always do, but they look really good both sides of the ball. And even just defensively, really, they only need to be average. Like, their offense is so good. Running game, two good running backs, Zeke and Pollard. Great offensive weapons. Now it remains to be seen with, some injuries. Like, Gallup banged up. Cooper was a little banged up earlier. He came back, obviously, but he was banged up earlier in the game. but they got it all going on offense, and Dak looks like an MVP caliber quarterback. And then with that run game too, if their defense can just kind of stay the course the way they are now, they're going to be a tough out in the NFC. Carolina, I mean, obviously they were 3-0 coming into that game. Maybe fell back to earth a little bit. Darnold, a couple picks. I think they'll still be solid. They'll be a tough battle for most teams, but I don't think contender wise they're up there. Next we got the Giants, won in overtime against the Saints. Yeah, weird. Saints are a weird team. I mean, looked obviously really like, amazing week one, world beaters, killed the Packers, and then kind of a couple tough losses. I mean, their offense seems to be kind of inconsistent. I don't know if maybe they try to let Jameis take the reins a little more, so to speak, to kind of keep things a little conservative for him. They take their shots when they need to, but it just seems like their offense is kind of doesn't really have a good rhythm going. I mean, the Giants sneaky have a decent defense though, so we can't put maybe too much stock there. But you had to figure the Giants would win one at some point here because they've been close. You know, they had that close battle with Washington. They've been chomping at the bit. Again, you know, feisty team. They have some pieces. Saquon got going, obviously, after a slow start to the season. He had his kind of coming out party in this game. Yeah, I was surprised by this one, honestly. I really was. I could have saw it being like a 7-point Saints win. I obviously took them to cover. They lost outright. Yeah, not much else to say there. Saints, kind of a weird team. Again, I think they're going to need to beat some. I think it may see how they play the Bucks will really be my kind of test for the Saints, if they're legit or not after killing the Packers and then now losing to an 0-3 Giants team. It's just bizarre. At home too. The first game back in New Orleans all season and they lose that game. It's strange, but a lot of strange losses this year so far. Minnesota, Cleveland. I whiffed bad on this one. Minnesota had a great first drive, went up 7-0, and then Cleveland's defense is really good, and they shut them down after that. And Cleveland also kind of lackluster on offense. I had the over 51.5 in this game. It wasn't obviously even close to that. 14-7 Cleveland win. Baker looked shaky, play calling a little bit weird. That's kind of been all year really for the Browns. Yeah, but their defense kept them in it. Running game, solid again. That's kind of Cleveland's formula. Good run game, good defense, and then Baker is good enough to make a couple big plays per game, and he obviously didn't need to do that this game. A little concerning maybe if you're a Browns fan, how their offense looked, at least throwing the ball. So again, remains to be seen when they play another legit team, how they look. Chicago handled Detroit like I thought they would. Chicago's defense, obviously still really good. Detroit Lions couldn't do much offensively, and Fields made a couple really good plays. Again, same kind of formula. They're a running team. You just need Fields to make a couple plays, but it looks like now they're going back to Dalton next week, so we'll see how that goes. I mean, I don't know why they don't just let Justin Fields run with it, right? I don't realistically see how you can expect them to be a contender this year anyways. So just let Fields grow, man. Like, I don't understand the thinking there. Like, Dalton, it's one thing if you had like a real legit solid starting quarterback, but Dalton's kind of who he is. He's been a backup the last couple years. I don't know. It's bizarre. So that good win is, that good win for Bears fans. Maybe not good win. I mean, Detroit's, winless for a reason, but whatever brief joy that Bears fans had in that win, they've now lost because they're going back to Dalton next week. So we'll see. Okay. Next up, Buffalo. Just completely destroyed Houston as I thought they would. One of my few bright spots of this week in picks. Shut them out 40-0. Davis Mills probably had one of the worst. He's up there with like the Peterman 5 interception game from a couple years ago or whatever. He had one of the worst games you could have, but can't blame him really to an extent. I mean, it's a tough spot to be in, obviously. I mean, at Buffalo, that crazy crowd, second start. Buffalo's got a good defense. And to try to compete with that offense too, go toe for toe, it's just a lot to ask. And he obviously looked terrible, as I thought he would. He looked terrible in the first game he played too. So, I mean, this is no shocker here. 40-0. Statement game for Buffalo. I mean, sometimes games like that, big favorites, it can be a little bit of a letdown, a bit of a trap spot, especially having to, knowing you're playing the Chiefs next week. they went out and they handled their business. That's really important. So they got the Chiefs next weekend, Sunday Night Football, I believe. Going to be a hell of a game, and good for the Bills to not overlook this matchup because Houston got some veteran players. They can still put up a fight, and they killed them. It wasn't even close. So good for Buffalo there. Next up, Colts and Dolphins. Again, I not a huge underdog by any stretch, but Colts were underdogs. I picked them outright to win. They did. Miami's got some problems, man. I mean, not that Tua is really lighting the world on fire, but they looked lost offensively without him there. Not saying much because they weren't an offensive dynamo with him, anyways. But they got some issues, and their defense too has kind of been shaky at times. That was supposed to be they're supposed to be a defensive-minded team, defensive coach, and not that the Colts really had a field day on offense, but they were probably more successful than Dolphins would have liked offensively. So yeah, Miami's got some problems. The Colts weren't as bad as their 0-3 record, I think, shows. They're going to be that division's terrible overall. Honestly, like it's going to be, we saw the NFC East last year be all-time bad. This AFC South is going to rival that, I think. You look at the Colts now 1-3, they're still in it. I mean, you got Houston, at least without Tyrod Taylor. I mean, if Tyrod Taylor comes back, maybe Houston could be frisky, but I think they're, even with him, a 500 team. The Colts, who knows? I mean, they're off to a bad start. They could pull it up. They could turn it around. I think they have a fairly easy schedule too coming up, so they can make some noise in that division. Obviously, and you got the Jaguars, who are a disaster, and the Titans, who I don't know, just lost to the Jets. They obviously beat my Seahawks, but I think the Seahawks really beat themselves more in that game. Yeah, that division's wide open. It's 17-game season. It's going to be tough for any of those teams to even win 9 games. Like, they'll beat each other up in that division. And then, shit, I mean, I don't know. They got to play, that division has to play, obviously, the NFC West, arguably, maybe along with the, AFC West being the best division in football. So that's a bunch of losses right there. So, yeah, tough. It's going to be tough for any of those teams to win 9 games. So Colts still now at 1-3. Solid defense, solid running game. Carson Wentz at times looks like he still kind of got it. So they're still alive. Next, they got Washington. Took care of Atlanta. High-scoring game. I didn't expect that. I thought Washington's defense would kind of make a statement saying we're not as bad as we've looked. The players, obviously, to do that. And, again, they give up 30 points. The Falcons, they needed that late touchdown to, like last minute, I think they were in field goal range anyway to win, but then they got that late touchdown to kind of seal it there. It was 34-30, I want to say it, without the score in front of me. But I just know it went over by a mile when I predicted the under. But I did have Washington winning that game and covering because Atlanta is just not that good on both sides of the ball, really. Their offense obviously can still score, but defensively they've been terrible for a while now, years. So Washington took care of business there. Not much else to really say about that game. Again, Washington's defense still looks bad. I don't know why, but it just looks bad. Next up, Seattle. Obviously, I did a recap on that game on its own, as I will always do. But they got an ugly win. Maybe not ugly. Well, I don't want to say ugly. Yeah, it was an ugly win because they were terrible. Their offense, anyway, was terrible almost the entire first half. Got that late touchdown drive that they needed to at least somehow be tied going into halftime. And then they pulled away in the second half, largely thanks to San Francisco's kicker being out, or their place kicker being out, their punter missing a field goal, missing an extra point. I think they went for 2 and didn't get it or something. I don't know. And obviously Jimmy G being out again. He's not kind of like Tyrod Taylor, like Tua. He's not gonna light the world on fire even if he's healthy, but he knows their offense better than Trey Lance did because Lance at times looked kind of lost out there. He made a couple nice throws. He's got a cannon arm, just doesn't have a lot of accuracy right now. So Seattle took advantage of that, whereas in the past they've let backup quarterbacks. I'm going back to what was it? I think there's a couple instances where they've lost. They obviously lost to Teddy Bridgewater and the Saints when he was their backup. They lost. They let. I think it was a game. I can't remember the team. There's a home game they had. I think it might have been last year, where a backup came in. and like halfway through, and I think they had the lead. And anyway, but they took advantage of, in NFL, injuries happen every game. You got to take advantage of opportunities like that. And in the second half, they did that. So that was good to see. I don't love this win, but it, win's a win in the division. You got to take them however you can, and they did that. So see what happens next week there. I'm not going to get too excited over that. Next up, we got Rams and Cardinals. This one really shocked me. I thought the Rams would win handily here. Not that Arizona was bad. I just thought the Rams were that good. They were going to handle their business and beat Arizona pretty soundly, especially their defense. I thought their defense would really contain Kyler. They didn't. He put on a show against them. That was more surprising than Arizona scoring a lot of points. Was Arizona's defense really shutting down the Rams besides that late game touchdown drive in garbage time that didn't matter, but it got the over to hit, which I bet the under 55. Silly me thinking the Rams defense would, show up the way they have all year. That didn't happen. Not much else you can say about that. If anything, I'm kind of glad that Arizona won, because I think when the dust settles, the Rams will be slightly better than the Cardinals record-wise. So for the Rams to take a loss there and, on their totals, that's good, because I think we have a better chance of catching the Cardinals than the Rams. So it's actually good that the Rams got a loss in their belt there. I think Arizona will kind of fall back to earth a little bit, and the Rams will, at the end, be probably the NFC West champs. I don't know. I know I picked Seattle to win the division at the start of the season. They need to show me a little more to keep my faith there. Green Bay, Pittsburgh. Packers covered. Lower scoring game than I thought, so I lost that over there. I had over 46. It was 27-17, I think. Yeah, kind of not much to say about this game. I mean, Pittsburgh still has issues, obviously. Big Ben being one of those issues. He looks pretty bad overall. He makes a couple nice deep throws a game, down the sideline, whatever, but their whole offense is just kind of disjointed. It's not very creative. It's too vanilla. It's just predictable. It's bad. It's just bad. Rodgers handled business. Green Bay didn't look amazing this game, but again, they handled business at home. They covered the spread. They're still rolling. Besides that bizarre week 1 loss, they're right there. They're going to win that division easily. So, yeah, really not much else to say there. Green Bay's good. The rest of that division, not so good. They'll win it easily. Baltimore, Denver. I was really wrong on this one. I thought Denver would make a statement that they were legit. That they heard all the noise about, we only beat 0-3 teams, whatever. Thought they would come out and make a statement here. Obviously, Bridgewater got injured around halftime, I think, but even when he was in the game, they didn't look any better. So it's a tough loss there for Denver. Kind of legitimizes some of the concerns people had about them and their obviously easy schedule to start the season. And the Ravens on the flip side made their statement that we're back. They've had their injuries obviously, but they're still legit. They're still an AFC contender. And yeah, it'll be. I think they play. I want to say they play next week. They play the Colts, I think, on Monday Night Football. So again, that'll be an interesting game too, because the Colts obviously starting 0-3, getting their first win, obviously in that bad division, they're right there. So they're going to come out hungry, and that'll be a close game. I don't know what the spreads are yet. I haven't looked. I'm going to be doing my picks tomorrow probably. So yeah, I'm already thinking I might ride with. I mean, I might get burned again betting against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, but if it's like going to be, I think the Ravens will win the game, but I think Colts will be feisty, and I think, I don't know, I might even pick the Colts to win the game. I don't know. I'm just feeling, I don't know. I like the Colts. I just think the Colts will be hungry in that game, and yeah. So not much else to say there. Ravens look good. Denver shocked me. Look not good. So that's that. And then second to last, we had the big game, the Bucks and Patriots. Low scoring game as I thought. But I didn't. But even though they only scored 17 points, New England's offense kind of with Mac Jones surprised me a little bit. They look competent at times. A couple rookie mistakes in the end, but obviously in the rainstorm affected things big time for both quarterbacks. And Brady looked a little bit over antsy at times. Was really putting too much zip on the ball. His first throw of the game was like a huge overthrow, sailed it over a guy's head. So yeah, understandable though on his end, nerves. So yeah, I lost. I had the Bucks to cover. They didn't, obviously, but I had the under, and it hit safely in large part because of the torrential downpour. But yeah, not much else you can say. Kind of an uneventful game, like gameplay wise. It was sluggish. Again, both teams' offenses couldn't do much. And not really much else to note. I mean, one thing I will say, I was really surprised, disappointed that Bill Belichick didn't like to go for it on that last. It was 4th and 2, right? I think 4th and 2. Obviously, like not much time left, 40 seconds or something. Like to kick the field goal to take the 1-point lead. And then Brady would have got the ball back, obviously, with a bit of time, and maybe one timeout or maybe none at that point. I don't remember. But yeah, I wish we would have gone for it, because like I don't know why you put the game in the hands of your kicker in a torrential downpour, like 56 yards or something. It was ridiculous. I mean, stupid. I wish you would have gone for it. Like, you're not like, what do you have to lose? No one expected you to win the game. Like, just go for it, man. Like, I know that drive hadn't looked good for them. Like, I think the last 2 plays that before that kick were incompletions, I think, or just bad plays in general offensively. So I get he probably didn't have a lot of faith in his offense to pick up those 3 yards, but would have liked to see him at least go for it there. I mean, come on, that game just had to end with something dramatic like that instead of a field goal in a rainstorm from 56 yards. It's just stupid. But yeah, Bucks pulled through. Obviously, it's tough to really judge them too hard on this game with everything that was going on, all the commotion in that. But in a vacuum, it's not a very convincing win against the New England team that hasn't looked good. They barely pull through. I don't know. Bucks may not be, as great as their Super Bowl run led us to believe. We'll see. Raiders, Chargers, the last game, the Monday Nighter. Whiffed on this one too. I had the Raiders to win outright as 4-point underdogs. And I also had the over because I thought, well, both teams can really score. Chargers defense came to play for the most part. They let the Raiders kind of sneak back in it a little bit. But yeah, Chargers are good. And like I kind of alluded to earlier, it says also a lot about Dallas that they were the only team to beat the Chargers, because the Chargers, look really good on offense. They kind of got a little weird with their play calling, and that what kind of let Oakland back, or fucking Vegas back into it. Was off in this one. Raiders looked like they took the Seahawks strategy of just not scoring for almost the whole half, and it almost paid off. They got it to 21-14, and then got the ball back again, and that's when they missed that field goal again. Maybe, I don't know what their 4th down was, what the yardage was. I think it was 4th and 9. So they probably shouldn't have gone for it, but missed the field goal, and then that gives the Chargers the momentum back, right? So again, field goal would have cut it 21-17. Maybe Chargers get the ball back, also settle for a field goal, and it's still a 1-touchdown game. But that missed field goal, down by 7 points, just kind of changed the whole momentum, and then Chargers got back and scored. So yeah, made it interesting, but Chargers look good. And like I said, that win that Dallas had over them makes Dallas look good too, because the Chargers look really good now. Beat the Chiefs, beat the Raiders, two really solid teams. So again, it'll be interesting to see if they can hold on to this division, because it looks like they can, and they have a defense, which the Chiefs really do not. So, but yeah, that's all the games. Long video, but be back soon after with my week 5 picks. Really good week 3, terrible week 4. So see if I can bounce back here. And that's a review.